Hello everyone, this is MTF8, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. Still playing campaign mode here. So, coming off of our successful orbit in our last episode, now I'm trying to orbit the moon and get some science done in deep space. So not much has changed. We got the same sized engines here. Just kind of added a little bit more fuel to the module stage, really, the last stage. Let's just go ahead and take off here. Nice launch into the sunset. So this stage still has a definite lean. And I really have no control when those solid fuel boosters are going. It's just sort of hang on for the ride. Once they're away, then go ahead and correct your trajectory. Already 400 meters a second. So now we'll go ahead and get a better trajectory here. There we go. Alright, and so a lot of this is going to be pretty routine. Just going to go ahead and get into a standard orbit here. And in the campaign mode, I've usually just been aiming for an orbit at like 70,000, 80,000. Still not sure how exactly the best way to get to the moon is. So this stage is empty. We're already on to our moon stage. I really don't like to... Again, I'm still not too sure about this, but it seems that I need to have a full stage to just get to the moon and back. And so when I didn't really plan out my staging right. But anyway, we're in an orbit, and so here I'm trying to find a good trajectory here, a maneuver that'll actually give me a moon encounter. So there I'm just sort of correcting my, what is that, the polar aspect of my orbit. So we're more on the same plane as the moon's orbit. And we get pretty close there. Big long burn to get us to the moon. At this point, I didn't even know if this little ship was going to make it. But I figured at the very least we'd still get back to Earth. Go ahead and make a polar adjustment here. Just kind of playing with my trajectories here, trying to figure out a lot of trial and error, figure out what the best way to get to the moon is. Seems like the best thing to do is to get a good moon encounter and then kind of fine-tune your orbit if you need to about halfway there. And then once you actually then get into the moon's sphere of influence, then you make real fine-tune adjustments in preparation for a lunar orbit. So we get really close here, according to the navigation. It says I'll be I'm gonna get within about 20 or so. I think I read that wrong. I think it was 20,000 kilometers and not 20 kilometers. Yeah, there we go. A lot of little burns here. It's definitely not the most optimal thing to do. Fewer burns, fewer fuel used. Seems like if you can plan one maneuver in the place of 3, you'll save a lot of gas. Oh yeah, here I'm worried about how much fuel I have, so I'm already looking at trying to figure out what the best way to come back home is. And I do find a little thing here that'll get me pretty darn close to Kerbin. So, I'm not confident that I have enough juice to do a full orbit around the moon. So instead we'll do some deep space stuff here. And I think I might actually discard this data once I actually get around the moon. Whoop, comes that moon. Go ahead and do our burn. Gotta be really careful with that time warp. So I'm about to swing around the moon and I'm... Oh, I do get a lunar orbit. Look at that. It's not a very circular orbit, but I'll take it for my first attempt. A lot of trial and error here, trying to figure out what the best way to get back home is, using the least amount of fuel. Again, according to the navigation, it's only going to be a little 9 or 10 second burn. We got plenty to do that. Yeah, it's not a very good orbit around the moon. So we get some good data there. Decide to go ahead and check one of our canisters to see what the results are. And oh boy, 30 points. That's some good data from the ooze. Let's go ahead and check the other one. Oh yes, yes. Mystery goo is very interesting. Feels right at home. Those messages are awesome. All kinds of features to explore on the moon. Oh, so close, so far, yet so far away. So I'll go ahead and adjust my spacecraft here. And it's about this point in time I'm trying to figure out why my craft won't respond anymore, and oh, I'm out of electric charge! Oh, there's nothing worse. I do find out that you can adjust your trajectory a little bit here by actually throttling up your engines a bit. You can have some control. Alright, so with our mission, with our data collected on the moon, it's time to head home. Whoa! Having a hard time not having SAS control here. That's a good trick there that I found out completely by accident. When you're kind of spinning like that, if you do a hard throttle up right when you're about to sweep onto your target, your trajectory will change and you will basically kind of automatically sort of slow down and take on whatever direction you're pointing at the time when you're at full throttle. So if you can time it right, you can sort of still have control of your craft. So again, with these orbits, I'm still kind of doing a lot of guesswork here. Not knowing exactly what the most optimal way to get in and out of orbit is. I have a feeling that I'm not doing it quite optimally. I'm sure I'm getting some of it right, but there's always something to learn. Literally flying by the seat of our pants here. It's fun watching this video after the fact, because at this point in time I'm actually worried that I won't aero brake enough sweeping down to 25 kilometers into Kerbin's atmosphere. That is plenty enough to slow your descent. At least for a craft this size. We're having fun tumbling all over the place. So we go ahead and separate our stage, throw out our drag chute. I'm noticing I put that coupler on upside down. Alright, everything looks good. Just gotta make sure that chute opens and... Okay. Oh, precious cargo here. There's a lot of science points to be had. So yeah, this was a bit of a milestone for me. This is the first time in the game that I've ever actually been around the moon and back. Even in the version before this game, where it was just sandbox, I didn't get a chance to actually get to the moon. In fact, I just did a lot of orbital maneuvers, really, and that was hard enough for me at the time. So, finally come in for a safe landing. And hooray! Get to the Space Center, let's recover this flight. And alright! Almost 75 points on this mission. This is a great haul. So all kinds of good stuff here. I am really liking this science system. It adds a good level of interest to the game that causes this natural progression to really feel rewarding, like you've actually accomplished something. In sandbox mode, your options are limitless, and sometimes that's just so overwhelming. So I know exactly what I want to get. I've been having a heck of a time with power. So I'm just looking at my other options here, but this is obvious because I'm going to get batteries, and I need batteries so bad. Just doing one experiment isn't all that great at all. And we're going to get a new science toy as well, so that'll be fun. So I just poke around here, check out the next things. So of course we go ahead and add that science probe to the vessel, and batteries! Lots and lots of batteries. I don't even care how much they add. I don't even care. So, now that we got a new science thing, and a new lab, we know this vessel can get around the moon. So we're gonna go ahead and try to get to the moon again. Hopefully get a good orbit this time as well. So I wanted to be... I'm so tired of recording in the dark. It's just my dumb luck that I keep doing all this recording in the dark. makes for a really crummy recording. I think I also added some more fuel to my second stage, so hopefully a lot of the fuel that I end up burning will be from the second stage to get me into orbit around Kerbin, and then that way I'll have a lot more fuel to use on my orbiting craft. I'm realizing that I can't remember actually doing this value. Oh yeah, I'm testing out my batteries as well. Yeah, we got a charge of 3650 on this craft. And I just wanted to see how much transmitting would cost. And it's just a little bit over 100. Just a little bit over 100 every time we do it. So, once again, pretty standard stuff here. Make our initial climb up to a decent apoapsis. And then when we reach it, continue that burn to get to a full orbiter on Kerbin. Now apparently that's something that's inefficient too, that I can maybe save some fuel, is that apparently a constant burn is always preferable over 2 burns. And I should be able to figure out a way to get into orbit around Kerbin through one consistent burn. So again there, my second stage still isn't enough to get me into orbit around Kerbin, but we only had to use a little bit of fuel from our orbiter, so it's significantly less than last time. And in reality, our craft is a bit heavier with the extra science stuff and all the batteries on it, but I didn't think it was going to be too big of a deal to get us to the moon and back. A lot of hemming and hawing about trying to figure out what the best way to get to the moon is. Alright, got about a minute-long burn here. Should be no problem for this bad boy.
Faced with a new medium.
So a lot of playing around there, trying to figure out what a good close orbit is. I think I might have, or at least, what do they call it? A rendezvous with the moon. Wow, that's a lot of batteries on this craft. Still have to laugh about it, it's so funny. I'm so sick and tired of not having power. There we go, a nice close encounter now. Whoa, what happened? Not quite sure what I did there, but I completely horked up my, my orbit. My trajectory. Now I don't know what to do. I'm like, what the hell's going on? can't remember what this ended up being. I'm pretty sure this is just sort of a game sort of hesitation. If I just let the moon get a little bit closer, yep, there you go. Suddenly my trajectory snaps to exactly where I thought I was going. Okay, we go ahead and adjust our velocity a little bit to get us a little bit closer to the moon. And once again, I decide that a perfectly circular orbit is not necessary. Once again, I'm worried about how much I'm going to be able to, or how much fuel it takes to get home, or how much fuel I need to use to adjust my trajectory to get back home. The answer I've found is not necessarily all that much. It seems as though, I can't remember if it was Heinlein or Asimov, I'm pretty sure it was Heinlein, said that once you're in orbit around the Earth, you're halfway to anywhere. Just because that's how much fuel it takes. That's how much effort it takes just to get into orbit around Earth. That if you can do that, you're halfway to anywhere. I always like that saying. I guess it's not a saying, it's something a person said. So, once again, we don't hang around the moon too often, or too long, really. I just start observing some stuff, and we go ahead and observe the the lab there, and of course I get all excited because I'm like, 75 points, that's amazing! It's about this time, too, that I realize that the diminishing returns on science are really, really awesome for when you can just... What you really should be doing is bombarding experiments. You should just go ahead and do a whole bunch of experiments all at once, especially if you have the power to do so. Again, here, I think I was worried about running out of power or something like that. Should have just done a whole bunch of experiments and used up as much power as I possibly could. I'm just fine-tuning my orbit a little bit here. Again, horribly inefficient. There we go. Now we're starting to use up some of that power. There you go, use it all up. I don't think I do. That's funny. I'm looking at that orbit and I'm thinking that I'm actually going to come in on the other side of Kerbin. And I'm like, oh wait, I'm on the wrong side. Science! And of course we come in for a landing again on the dark side of the planet. I can never win. Makes for a pretty good light show like this, though. Woohoo! That is coming in hot. Let's do some science while we're burning in the atmosphere. That sounds like fun. Oh, goodbye, batteries. It's nice while we had you. So, do a little bit more data coming in for a landing. Once we run out of power, we just start keeping data. Now, in retrospect, I really should have been able to get a lot more science points this run. I end up being all proud of the number of points that I got, and when I thought about it later, I'm like, man, that could have been so many more points. I notice I still have my stack separator on upside down as well. Woohoo! Landed safely. Alright, let's see what we did. Recover that vessel. And alright, 30 science points earned, but a total number of science points earned on the mission was probably somewhere in like the 180 range or something like that. Maybe even more. I forgot to keep track of how many, so we got a really good run there, but it could have been so many more points. I should have just been doing science experiments until my power was just about out. But all in all, that was a pretty good run. And with that, I go right away to buying some more points. And what I decide on getting is we just go ahead and fill out this tier. Like, let's just go ahead and fill out the tier, and then we'll see what else we can build in the future. And with that, I check out the new parts coming up, and I just want to thank everybody for watching.